Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston, and recorded live from the porch of the famous Malibu kitchen. Now, here's Spike.
All right, here we are at the porch in Malibu on a beautiful day. What would you say? It's about 70, 75 today. It's
perfect.
Sunny. We always leave an extra seat open here at the Spike's Car Radio table for you, so maybe you can soak up a little Malibu fun. Today we're here with a hyphenate. You've got so many hyphens after your name. Comedian, producer, writer, director, podcaster last, Eddie Ifft. I think I only know you as a comedian, though.
I think that just means I'm a failure.
This is taken directly from your site.
I would say that means failure.
Really?
It means I've tried everything. Haven't found one that's hooked yet.
I think, there's a part of me because of, just my bad psychology that I think when you get to podcasting, that pretty much is you're a failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is your last stop.
Well, I look at you when they said Spike wants you to. I was like, why? First of all, why am I being a guest on his show? Second of all, why is he podcasting?
Why am I podcasting?
It depressed me a bit.
It is depressing, isn't it?
This is a guy with more credits than
That's right.
than Dave Letterman, and why is he in this horrible
I'm going to tell you,
swampland of podcasting?
this is my fun.
Yeah.
This is where I come to have breakfast on the weekends, and I just wanted to put microphones on, but it's not my only job.
Yeah. Oh, good.
This is my
This is a hobby.
This is my playtime.
Okay.
With cars and funny people.
Okay.
And I really love to interview people. I really like to meet people and record it. I don't like to meet people in real life and talk to them. But
Me too.
You know what I'm saying by
Yeah.
that. And the folks at Podcast One in the booking department said Eddie Ifft is doing a show called The Bingles Show. They said it was going to be a show in a Volkswagen bus,
That's
but I
not
can
a Volkswagen
see
bus.
you've pulled it up in something different. Why don't you tell everybody what it is first and foremost?
So that is a 2005 Bluebird Ford F450 short school bus.
Right. That is. Is it?
It's rat-rotted.
It's rat-rotted. Okay,
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah,
That's
on
not a
purpose.
natural.
When I bought it, I wanted to keep it the yellow.
Right.
And when I went to get registered, I've jumped through so many hoops with this thing. It's just been the worst.
How do you rat rod an old school bus? What do you do?
You take 5 volunteers that work for you,
Mhm.
and you make them sand it down completely.
Okay.
And then
And that's down to the bare metal, and then it starts to rust naturally, or
well, then you get one of your fans who is a set designer
right?
to come in. Thank you, Randy Puga, and you paint it. If you go inside, there's it's all MDF wood inside, and it looks like marble. And
What is
it's hard-
MDF wood?
It's
aside
a
from my
lighter,
real initials.
It's a lighter
Michael
kind
D.
of wood. I've
Thurston.
learned all this stuff myself.
Okay.
I know nothing about cars.
Right.
I know nothing about technology, and I jumped into something that requires an extensive knowledge.
Yeah,
of both.
you've got a modified school bus here. So it's a lovely rust-colored thing.
Yeah.
Like it looks naturally patinaed. On the very front, above the windshield, there are steer horns.
They were
mounted.
they were donated.
And that's, if I'm not mistaken, where the school bus lights used to be, right?
Yeah, which I think is illegal at this
Okay.
point.
Why?
We have a train horn. Horn blasters sent us a train horn, and I was going to put them in those holes. But I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on YouTube where people drive up with a train horn and just honk it.
Yes.
And
No,
then
I've
people
been-
have heart attacks.
I've been the victim of that on this very porch, actually.
Oh, really?
And I've not seen the video. I was standing talking with Seinfeld right over there by that pole, and a guy drove up in an old Cadillac, and he said, "Hey, Jerry." And we looked up, and then he blasted that horn,
Uh-huh.
and it scared the shit out of us.
Yeah,
And,
and
he had a camera right in our face, and I've never seen the video.
That's
I'm glad I
hilarious.
haven't seen it, because it was a an embarrassing reaction that I had.
That's hilarious. Well, it's the natural reaction, though, because I watch the videos. People fall on the ground. And so they sent it to me, and I thought, I'm going to put this in. And a friend of mine's a policeman. And I said, hey, could I get in trouble for this? And he said, I don't know, but I would arrest you for sure.
Yeah.
Because I would find some reason to arrest you.
Disorderly
because
conduct.
It's annoying.
You might even get shot. So what is the idea behind this contraption?
So the idea was, I used to do the podcast. I used to do a podcast called Talkin' Shit.
Right.
Which was bad branding because I was never allowed to say shit on the, like...
Why can't you say that?
iTunes apparently finds that very, very unchristian and very...
Really?
Yeah.
They're religious, Apple?
They got really weird about shit. I put asterisks in.
Oh, about the word.
Yeah, I put
seeing
asterisks
the word.
Couldn't do that.
Right.
They said people know what it is. So
Yeah.
I changed it to Talkin's Hit. By the way, is your sound guy like a movie star?
Who will?
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at
He's
him.
my sound guy
Yeah.
and gay husband.
That's what it
Will.
looked like. I was like, this is
No.
the best looking
He's
dude I've ever
unlike
seen.
us. He's young and handsome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am old and dilapidated. You're somewhere in the middle, I can tell.
No, I'm there.
You're there too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what a young person looks like. They're in shape, they eat healthy, they work out. I'm not saying you're gay, but
Could be.
it's distracting.
Could be.
Yes.
I'd be gay because of him.
And he's here to make sure. Actually, he records the show, but there's never any censorship. I expected him to be saying things like you can't swear, and
Right.
you can't do this, and you can't do that. Did you ever find there were bigger things you couldn't do on your podcast?
Oh my
that
God,
upset
we
you?
got banned 3 times from iTunes, and I
For what?
kept saying, like, I've seen horrible things on the internet. I saw a horse have sex with a guy to death on the internet, and they took my podcast off.
You said that.
It's,
I know the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, my writer's room at one point was watching it and trying to get me to watch it, and I wouldn't watch it. Because I can't...
you want to hear something worse?
Not,
I went to high school with the guy that owns the farm.
well,
No
that's
joke.
cool.
No joke. And I told it on Joe Rogan's podcast, and people called me a liar. And I'm like, Google him,
Right.
Google me, and see if we went to the same high school.
So he's the guy who owned the horse.
He owned a horse farm in Washington that they had the big arrest.
Right.
And that's a guy I went to high school with. He was a couple years
So
older
wait,
than
the big
me.
arrest was based on the kid...
I don't.
This is one of those horrible videos.
It's a
right?
horrible video.
It's a horrible
I've-
video, and it's a shock video.
Yeah.
And a horse has sex with
The
a...
guy, and apparently the guy died because it ruptured his colon or something.
Well, yeah, of course.
yeah.
And so
They
this...
made a movie called Zoophile or something, and my high school. It's
Look
so
at
funny.
how far off cars we are right now.
Everybody
We're
emails
talking about
everybody.
horses having sex and killing
Well,
humans.
I don't want to say the guy's name because he's an evil genius.
Who's
and
that?
The guy.
Who owns a horse farm?
Yes, I don't even say his name because I'm so
But you would
scared
think
of him.
he wouldn't have a horse farm anymore once something like that happens on it, because that's not technically what the horse farm is about, right? It's about riding
It was
horses.
supposed to be about equestrian,
Right.
but apparently it turned into something else. Which he, by the way, I just recently watched a video of him giving a speech at a tech conference.
Right.
Because he
a
owned-
TED Talk.
basically, and he was explaining his love for animals.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's awful.
See, he's lost all credibility in the horse world to me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk school buses, though.
Okay, let's
Why
get off
why
the
do you
horses.
have this thing? What
So
are you doing in it?
I'm good at tangents. My wife kicked the podcast out of my house. I did it for like 5 years in my house, and it was a lot of fun. And it got a little crazy. I used to be partners with a comedian named Jim Jeffries.
I know Jim
And
Jeffries.
Jim and I did the
Super
show. We were
funny guy.
roommates, and we did the show, and it got a little out of control. And
And what does that mean?
I mean, we beer boarded people. We we had a
Beer boarding would be waterboarding with beer.
we had a hot dog eating competition on 4th of July.
What happens when you beer board someone?
They beer boarded me, Kenny Hotz from Kenny versus Penny.
Right.
Kenny beer boarded me, and that's when my wife left me.
She did.
She walked out and said, "I'm done."
Really?
Yeah.
So
I'm
why
done.
do you? So
Walked
you?
over me while I was strapped down to the board. Left the house.
And she never came back.
She came back 2 days later, and
I'm
after
looking
we-
at you. You're not wearing a wedding ring.
Yeah, I lost it. In a stripper. No, just a joke. I used
And
to do.
and that was it.
She walked out. She came back, And I said, when we talked it over, she's like, it's just gone too far. And I said, it means a lot to me that you cared, that, you were worried that they might kill me. And she said, I wasn't worried about you. They were using the good towels.
Who was using them? Hold on. We need to hold for these
but
sirens.
People like to hear the sirens in podcasting.
I know. We're out in the porch. We're live in the outdoors, so you're going to hear whatever happens. But that's an obnoxious one, right? So wait, you're beer boarding. She walks out. But what a mess that. See, I'm already thinking that would have made a mess of my house.
Yeah, well, we were doing it out on the deck.
Oh, okay. Well, that's different.
But the hot dog eating contest.
Does it have anything to do about your ages and the types of things that you're doing and your wife looking at it? What is she, or what did she do at the time, or what does she do?
My wife is a stylist.
Okay.
And she owns
Well, then she could be kind of okay with that, right?
Yeah, well, we had a hot dog eating competition one time for 4th of July, like the Nathan's hot dog contest, but I did it a little differently. I made the interns do it on their knees while watching gay porn. And my wife cooked the hot dogs, and they were in baby pools in my living room.
Right.
And so there were just other things. There'd be like porn stars in the house. There was all kinds of crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife got pregnant, and she was like, enough. So I looked at studios all over the place. Didn't know you could just come to the deck at the Malibu Kitchen.
This is taken, by the way. But the burrito place, Chipotle's open. You could probably do something over there for them.
We moved right up here. Like, I live right up that canyon.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it was hard to get guests out here.
Evidently for you.
Yeah.
But not for me.
Well,
Look at this.
You're a celebrity.
Yeah, kind of.
So I thought I'll make my studio mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a Kickstarter. We did a 24-hour podcast and raised $65,000 in 24 hours.
Come on.
No. And put about $85,000 into that.
Really?
Plus, it breaks down once a week. I was
right.
there yesterday.
It's really smart, though, to get a podcast that goes to people, because then you get a lot of people saying yes.
Yes.
That's the biggest issue with booking anything is schedule.
Yeah.
Especially a late-night show. It's like you have to be here on a Tuesday at 4:30,
yeah.
and that's it. We don't have the option of moving it. Now that you're in this bus,
yeah,
this funny bus, which I like, you can go to anybody anytime.
And they stumble in, too. People are like, what is this? I'm like, come on.
Oh, that's great.
They shot a pilot of the show, and Dr. Drew was our guest for the pilot.
Oh, really?
And he was the guest out of, like, because it was kind of like a reality. It was kind of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm, like scripted, lightly scripted. But Dr. Drew was... My co-host had a heart attack on the bus so that we could get Dr. Drew on the bus. And then once he got in, we closed the doors. And we're like, welcome to the show.
Is it video podcast or is it only audio?
So we do live streaming on Facebook Live, and we do an audio podcast, and we shoot some stuff for YouTube.
And how does the Facebook Live work for you? Have they figured that out yet?
I'll tell you tomorrow.
This will be the first one you're doing?
Yeah.
Wow. And who's on your first show?
Michael Franti.
Michael Franti. Who's that?
Michael Franti and Spearhead. Sound of Sunshine. You know that song?
Nope. None of it.
Okay.
Will knows. He's nodding his head. Again, young, hip
yeah.
guy.
So, and then hopefully we've got Gavin Newsom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, he's a guy who turns up everywhere. My wife told me he's going to be in my backyard in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing
That's
a
what I was
party?
What she's really saying, like your wife, is you best be on your best behavior.
Yes.
Get the yard ready first and foremost.
Yes.
Get the trees trimmed and the plants and everything in order. But then...
Are you doing a little fundraiser?
I don't know what it is. I stay out of all of it.
He's running for governor.
He is? All right, so that's a good guy to know.
He is a good guy, too.
I have a message from the previous governor, Jerry Brown, or the current governor, that we're going to do a little on. They've hired us to talk about their new PSA about slow drivers in the left lane.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
That's coming up. But, boy, so Gavin Newsom's coming in your bus.
Well, that's the...
How did you book him?
So I do a radio show in San Francisco called the Alice Morning Show.
You go. Okay.
And he's on there a lot, and... I went to a bar one night, and I met him. And my friend said to me, the guy said to me, Gavin said, "Hey, I heard you on the radio. You're really funny." And I went, "Oh, yeah, whatever." And I go, "Who's that?" My friend goes, "That's the lieutenant governor."
Yeah.
And I go, "What's he doing in a bar with us?"
He's that guy.
Yeah.
He's got some of the most, he's got those political, personable skill sets.
Yes. Yes.
He's that guy. I've only seen it once before. Bill Clinton was a guy like that who, if you met him, you felt like you knew him for a long time.
Right.
But it was a trick. It was sleight of hand.
Yep.
And I did Bill Maher's show, and then I went to the after party, and Bill Maher introduced me to Gavin Newsom, and he did it to me.
Yep.
He put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "How was the struggle last week?" And I went, in my head, instantly trying to do all the mental gymnastics. Do I know this guy? Does he know what I was going through last week?
Yeah.
He didn't know anything, but that was his little activation. I've since learned that's an FBI trick as well.
Ooh.
The
That's
FBI
creepy.
will do that when they sit down with you. They'll do that same thing. They'll try to befriend you in such a way, and they sometimes use that same question. How's the struggle?
That's weird.
I haven't heard that point of view before about robbing banks. Why don't you explain it to me? They come at you from a very friendly psych
Interesting
position.
you say that. I do another podcast with a strength and conditioning one, because look at me, with a guy who is a SWAT team guy from Santa Monica, and he looks like RoboCop, and he manipulates me in ways as a police officer. And he makes me make decisions I don't want to make and do things I don't want to do.
Like what?
He just uses it. He's got a very intimidating nature of talking to you and questioning you, and whenever he asks questions, you feel like you've been pulled over.
Right.
And you don't want to answer them, but you're giving him all the information. It's funny, he became my podcast co-host without me even asking him. He just moved in.
He just did.
And he just took the show, and he'd be like, "How many downloads are you getting?" And I'm like, "How much money are you making?" And I'm like, "Is this your business?" Let me get my bank statements out and show you.
That's like our co-host, Zuckerman, who's a lawyer.
iPhone.
Yeah, so that's Bill just walked up to the table and took our guest's iPhone. That's what he's up to. He's still not right from his driving experience at the Porsche Experience Center. We took Bill racing for his birthday, and it scrambled his stomach and his brain, obviously. So now he's want to just walk out in the middle of a recording.
So you are a big car guy, obviously. You're doing a car
kind
podcast.
of. I don't know, not big. What about you? I mean, have you always liked cars? Do you not like cars?
No, I like cars a lot, and I've done some fun stuff with cars.
What do you currently drive? Because you're not driving this thing.
I have a couple cars at my house. I've got an Audi Q5, and I've got a Toyota 4Runner. I like old Toyotas.
So you got trucks.
Yeah, I love trucks.
You're just
I'm not really a car guy. I'm a truck guy.
Right. Why do you like
and
trucks
I've got
more
a
than
bus.
cars? I noticed.
I surf a lot, and
Oh.
I need to throw boards in the back of the trucks all the time and go surfing. So,
is it dangerous to surf out here? Because I keep reading about
sharks?
and sewage.
Sewage is bad. I'd be way more scared of the sewage.
Right.
I've been in the water where there are sharks, and I just keep surfing.
What? So you look down?
At this point with the bus, I hope one of them gets me.
Right. So when you take the Bingle show out on the road,
Yeah.
Where's-
We leave tonight at midnight. We're doing a 20-day tour.
and where are you going to go?
We're going tonight. Tomorrow we're in San Jose.
Uh-huh.
Then Eugene, Oregon, which is a 9-hour drive from San Jose, is our next trip.
So you're taking this across the country.
Yeah, pretty much we end up in Chicago and then come back.
So all summer long, you're going to be in the Bingle bus. And are people allowed to come see the show?
So what
How
we
does
do
it work?
is I do a live stand-up show, and I bring a couple guys to open for me. And then afterwards we go out to the bus, and those are all you can't see right now, but the Marine speakers in the back
Right.
they play outside, and there's TV cameras or TV screens, so you can see what's going on in the bus.
Oh, wow.
And there's cameras set up all over in the bus. And so people sit around in chairs, and there's a tailgate party. There's also a keg on the bus.
That's fun.
And so we drink and do the show, and have different guests on, and pull up outside the comedy club or the venue where we are.
And people, so fans can go to your website.
Yeah, EddieIfft.com.
And they can find the schedule, and they
Yeah.
can show up. They can see you do stand-up, and then they can come to the Bang Bus.
Yeah, the bank.
For the shenanigans. Is the podcast just you guys?
Trust me, that is Plan B.
Well, we all know that.
I am,
And it's even super creepy that it's going on in a school bus.
Not to make a Bang Bus, but I'm going to call those guys and go, do you want to buy my bus? Because I can't think of anybody else.
Are there beds in it?
There is, I'll show you it, but there's a There's a
tell us
booth in
what
the
you
back.
did to it. So School Bus had a bunch of bench seats. Did you pull everything out?
We took everything out.
Okay.
And then put a wood platform floor on it.
Okay.
And build up from there. So the back is a booth,
Right.
like a U-shaped booth. Had it upholstered. And then behind that is a TV screen where, and then there's a desk up front where our sound and video guy sits, and he works a TriCaster and does camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Then we have a roaming camera, and we can cut to whatever, like we have a mobile hotspot, so we can upload clips.
Wow, there's a lot of
internet.
death on the PCH today. I'm sorry. I mean,
At
this
least one a
this
week.
is the second one.
Yeah.
This is what it's like out here. You live out here,
Yeah.
right?
Do you live here?
No, here they come. Listen. But you know the most common cause of an accident on the PCH, right?
People crossing.
That's one.
Yeah.
There are two of them.
What's the other one?
The tourist U-turn, which I'm sure is where these sirens are going to right now.
Yeah. Annoying.
The tourist who sees the parking spot on the other side of the road, failing to realize this is a very fast 2-lane highway, and does the U-turn, and a car broadsides them.
This
and
road's deadly. My wife and child drive on it every day, and it really bothers me.
Yeah.
Annoys me
No,
because
it
it's
does
such
too.
A dangerous road.
My kids did a week of camp out here, and I was saying to Erica, I was like, who's driving them?
Yeah.
I'll take them. I'll pick them up because it's nasty out here
It's
this
a terrible
year.
road. I think.
Yeah.
I got a ticket once on it, and I talked to the policeman afterwards, and he was really cool. And he said, "You just have to realize how often, people are dying on this road." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes a good point." And I live up in the canyon where people race all the time. And
I wouldn't know about that. Really?
And
people in cars like this blue car right here that
Ooh, is
says
that-
GT3 on it up
no
in
wonder,
the canyons.
No wonder you and Seinfeld are such good friends. I was doing a show at the Comedy Cellar one night in New York, and he was on the show, and I walk up and there's a Porsche. I like Porsches. I like the old ones a lot. And
Me too.
I walk up outside, and Jerry's getting out of the Porsche, parking in an illegal spot, taking the ticket, and I see the license plate said whatever the engine number was.
Right?
And
Or
then-
the model number, most
or the model
likely,
number,
right?
And then 1. And I said, or 1ST. And I said,
oh, really?
And I said,
So this is recently.
no, this was a while ago. This is
It said
years ago.
1ST?
Whatever the number was, I think it was the model
Okay,
number.
was it a blue car?
I forget.
72, by
And-
any chance?
No.
Old 911.
No. I know it wasn't an old. And I
my
said to
God.
him, I said, Jerry, what's up with the, because that's how we talk to each other. Jerry.
Of course.
I think I said Mr. Seinfeld.
He likes Porsche questions.
I said, what's with the license plate? And he said, oh, this is the first one, and Porsche gave it to me.
Oh, what car could that be? All right, I'm going to think about what car that can be, and we'll be right back with Eddie Ifft. Well, it's time to talk about TrueCar. In order to feel comfortable that you're getting a fair price, because you do want to feel comfortable, you need pricing context, information that empowers you to feel confident. With TrueCar, you'll see what other people in your local market paid. That means people in your neighborhood, what they paid for a car. From there, you can connect with a local TrueCar certified dealer and enjoy a more confident car buying experience. You know what they're saying? They're saying no weasel car salesman. That's what they're saying. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. TrueCar will show you what other people in your area paid for the car that you want. Now you know what a fair price is, so you can feel confident. And who doesn't want to feel confident? Once you register, you'll see real pricing on actual inventory. This is competitive pricing offered to you only by TrueCar certified dealers for an actual vehicle on their lot. It's pricing you'll see before going to the dealership, so you can feel confident when you show up. Again, you got to feel confident, or you like to feel confident, because you're going to drive that car and you're going to think about this experience, and you want to feel good. You want to feel confident. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing, so you can enjoy a quick, easy buying experience. That's TrueCar. I suggest you use it. It's a good service.
Hey everybody, it's Shaq. Have you had a chance to check out the #1 podcast on Podcast One? That's right, the Big Podcast with Shaq. Me and my co-hosts John Kincaid and Rob Jenners, we have a blast. With way more than just sports, we have the biggest guests from entertainment to the NBA. I promise you've never ever heard a show like this. The Big Podcast with Shaq, with the new episode every Monday at podcastone.com.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Eddie Ifft. What were we trying to figure out when we left? There was something we were trying to figure out. Oh, what car of Jerry's
Was the Porsche
the very first one
Porsche made?
the Porsche made of a line of Porsches? You don't remember the color, do you?
No,
You don't remember the year. If you could tell me what year it is, I could probably figure this out.
So when
Just give me an area, the mid-'90s or
I can't even remember.
the 2000s?
I don't remember yesterday.
You don't remember yesterday.
I did getting dug with high yesterday.
But he does, you're right about one thing. He likes either the first or the last. He used to be a numbers guy. I'm guessing this is probably in the 90s, if that's possible.
Well, my favorite Porsche, I love that Californication Porsche. I think it's a 92.
Oh, I haven't seen that car.
The one
the
that,
964?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the black one,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I like those.
It's funny. I know that car. I don't know. I've never seen the shape, but I know the car you're talking about.
The car. Yeah. I like these. I only like the 911 body style. I don't like any of the others.
Right. Yeah, that's a
others.
2015 GT3 that I call affectionately Bruiser because it's black and blue.
Although my wife wants the Cayenne.
She does?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a big truck
Why?
guy. Like I like old Toyotas, like
But
Land
you
Cruisers, and
got 3 trucks. What is she driving every day?
She's driving one of the trucks.
See, this is a little bit of car matchmaker we're talking about. Here's a guy with a renovated school bus and 2 SUVs, and now he's saying he wants another SUV, right? Even Will, you could handle this one on Car Matchmaker. He's like, this is what every family needs. Are you ready?
Yes.
1 SUV and 1 car.
You're
One
kinda
of
right.
each. One of each, and then you switch off. You have an interesting element to yours because you're a surfer, so you also need something when
Right,
you
and
don't have that SUV that you can put
And I let the
surfboards
dogs. I got 2 dogs, and I let them in the trucks.
on. And how big are your dogs?
One's a cattle dog, and one's a
The cattle dog.
Frenchie pit bull.
Wow.
Yeah.
So big, smelly dogs.
One's tiny. One's
Yeah.
this big.
I don't know. Have you ever thought about Volvo station wagons?
I used to drive them.
Yeah.
So my friends owned a Volvo dealership.
Oh, yeah?
A bunch of them in the East Coast, and when I lived in New York. And I used to drive for them.
Mm-hmm.
When I was first starting to do stand-up, I would go pick up a Volvo, drive it from one dealership to the other. And they actually owned a dealership with Paul Newman in Connecticut. One of their
I like where this is going.
Connecticut's own.
Yes.
And
this is, by the way, he built a crazy...
For Dave Letterman. I used to drive his car.
Yeah.
I used to steal it and take it out all the time.
But there are 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, so
wait.
Newman's car was first.
That's right.
And it was...
And these are Volkswagen station wagons,
wagons,
the ultimate estate race car.
But they pull the engine out.
Right.
And they would put in a Chevy engine.
Right. The
They
crate
put
engine.
Low-profile tires.
That's right.
And
there was a guy involved, too. It wasn't just Paul Newman. It was Michael Brock or Peter Brock.
Yeah, he had a partner. Yeah, it was like, I think it was his partner in his race car company.
Because I talked to this guy.
Right.
So he got one, and then Letterman got one, right?
Letterman liked it, so he built Letterman the same exact car.
That's right.
And they had tinted windows, like the whole way around.
That's right. I was around for this.
And it was, is this when you were writing for
This is when I was on Letterman. Yeah, it was sometime around in the day. It was like, I've got the ultimate station wagon Spike.
So I
no one's going to know what it can do. They're going to pull up to a stoplight, and then I'm going to be able to blast anyone with this thing.
And it was so fast.
But it was such a ridiculous old man idea at the time. I was like, why are you wasting your money?
That's what I said.
Except,
Here was their theory.
go ahead.
A police officer sees a red Porsche driving down the street,
Right.
going fast. They're thinking, I'm going to pull this asshole over and give him the biggest ticket I can
Yeah,
give
but
him.
when they roll the window down, they're going to see Paul Newman or David
But
Letterman.
they're
There's no
not-
ticket.
But they're not going to because they think it's a soccer mom that has a kid that needs to get to the hospital.
Yeah, it's a soccer mom doing 180 miles an hour with smoking tires.
I think it did do about 160.
I know, it's
or
insane.
something.
So I left Letterman and very quickly became obsessed with that car. I think I did 3 years on Seinfeld. It was 3 or 4 years later that I went, you know what I need? I want one of those Volvo station wagons, okay? And somebody in Dave's office put me in touch with this Brock guy, and I got him on the phone.
Wow.
And he said, I will do this for you.
Yeah, it's an amazing car.
And stupidly, I said, I think it was right around the time that suddenly the Carrera GT was announced in Paris, and then I got redirected towards that. And I never had the car made. And I regret this because it's such a, Jerry featured it with Dave on Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. And apparently it's really doesn't drive very well. It's really overpowered engine.
Well, it's
for
overpowered.
The
I think it has a
chassis
heavy
and-
suspension on
Right,
it, too,
right.
to keep it, like, loaded. And they're great cars without any of that. You know, like I like trucks, but
But don't you know what's interesting about it? It's kind of ahead of the curve of where car building went, which is now every brand has a fast version of their car.
Yes.
Right? Every single one.
Yeah.
Even Lexus. It's like, no, here are the fast Lexuses or
Yeah.
Lexi, whatever we say. But boy, ahead of its time. So you're working. You're working for Volvo and you're just delivering cars?
Friends
or?
of mine own 3 or 4 Volvo dealerships. One
Right.
of them was
Still?
co-owned with. Yeah, they own 3 now.
All right.
The one that they owned with Newman, I think they sold it.
Yeah. He's
But,
not with us anymore.
What's that?
He's
Yeah,
not with
yeah,
us anymore.
yeah. So,
But by the way, little side note, his watch is going up for auction. Do you know the Paul Newman Daytona? Do you know anything about?
No, how much is that going to be?
This is the watch. He claims to have only worn one watch his entire life, and it was this Newman dial Daytona, right? 70s. I think there might be 2 or 3 of them, so I think he might have been fudging it. But that watch is probably the most desirable vintage Rolex out there.
Really?
It's got to be. I would guess, and this is just me, stupid Spike, guessing. Go ahead, you guess what you think that's going to sell for. I think it goes up for sale in the fall. I've got everything wrong, but if you guys Google it, you'll see this watch. This is if you have money, and I mean billionaire money, this is the watch you want.
Let me guess, $1.2 million.
I think you're low on this one.
Really?
Yes. I think this is the ultimate racing provenance watch with a celebrity attachment that we care about, right?
So it's more
This
than
isn't
1.
Alfred E. Newman's Rolex.
More than
This-
1.2
This
million.
isn't Alan Hale, the skipper's Rolex. This is Paul Newman's. I bet you this watch sells between $4 and $5 million for a rinky-dink $600, $700 watch back in the day.
So I was sitting next to a guy one night. This is a crazy, weird story. Who was a watch dealer,
Right.
Watch broker, and I happened to. Friend of a friend is really close with John Mayer, and John Mayer does stand-up
he's
comedy.
another watch guy.
So we're out.
Mayer's still doing stand-up?
He does it every once in a while, yeah. So we were out all for dinner, and John Mayer was with us, and John Mayer brought his buddy who's a watch dealer.
What
And-
was the guy's name? Robert Marin, by any
yes,
chance?
yes.
Oh, this guy.
So you know the story?
He's also. I don't know the story.
He's also Charlie Sheen's
He's also Charlie Sheen's head of
Twitter guy.
production. But yes, continue. I know the gentleman.
Well, I remember him showing me, and I said, and at the time, I think I was wearing like a Timex Iron Man watch.
Right.
'Cause I'm not a watch guy. I don't like jewelry, watches,
Uh-huh.
anything. And I said, how much is that watch? And he goes, oh, this is just a piece of shit. This is $150,000.
Right.
And I went, oh, that's, wow. You know, like, and then I just recently read that John Mayer is suing him because
Yes.
all his watches were like frauds. You know, he was like the guy that sold wine to the Koch brothers.
Yes.
Was selling $30 bottles of
Well-
wine for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It is true. I don't know the specifics of the case, but I do know, he was acquiring a lot of stuff, and then it kind of went sideways. Yeah. And I know Robert Marin has a reputation for having a lot of very rare, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And, this is one of the issues with the Rolex market is you don't know. It used to be the factory could verify this stuff. You'd bring it in to have it serviced, and if they serviced it and gave it back to you, it would be considered legitimate.
Right.
If it was a fraud or counterfeit parts, they would hand it back to you and go, we can't work on this, and then it's not really a legitimate watch.
Right.
The ultimate watch is box and papers. That means it comes with the original receipt and a warranty card and box, and that way you kind of know where the watch has been.
Right.
Now, Marin has, it's funny. It reminds me of the car market. It's like there are guys, I think it's probably pretty normal in the watch and car business to be screwed every once in a while, or you get a bad car, a bad watch, and you sell
bus,
it. And
a bad bus.
No, the bus is cool, but you know what I mean.
Just had to
It's-
rebuild the whole engine a
it's-
week after I got it.
It's misrepresented. But apparently there was more of that than people would want. And so he's still, I see his stuff on eBay. You can look it up right now. He's still got beautiful watches up there. He goes, "We entertain all offers." He puts that in all caps.
Like you're going to want to buy one after.
And I got to tell you, I still want to buy his stuff. It doesn't matter. It's like I know all the story, but look at the beautiful pictures of that watch. I was just talking to my
So
car.
are you a Rolex guy also?
I like vintage Hoyer. I've
Okay.
always collected, and that's before Tag Heuer. There was
I didn't even
there was
know it was
Hoyer,
Heuer.
and they were just racing watches. They never used to be expensive watches. They're getting a little expensive now, but
That's what I have, but I don't wear a watch at all.
you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's an old guy thing at this point. We
Yeah,
have our
I have a
phones.
phone,
We
yeah.
generally know what time it is, but I like looking at them. It gives me pleasure, so I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
That's how I like them. And then, Rolexes, again, they're getting too
I
expensive.
surf with
and-
a watch that has a GPS on it that'll tell me how fast I was on
Right.
the wave, where I went on the wave.
Do you like Nixon watches? Do you use those?
Nixon are okay, but Rip Curl makes the best watch for. It'll give you literally show you on a GPS where you surfed, where you started, where you went, how many waves you caught that day.
And why is
The
that
intervals
important
and-
information?
It's stuff like it. You could just. I don't know.
Well, you have no
It's
idea.
like golf. If you're like, hey, I was hitting the ball this far, I was going this fast, or I mostly caught rights today instead of lefts, and it's kind of to look back and gauge how your surfing's going.
So wait, can I talk you into a Volvo today?
I love Volvos. I love Volvos.
What are they have this special Volvo that's kind of the racing version Volvo, and I'm forgetting what they call it, but there's a nice appearance package and engine package on their station wagon.
See, I'm only thinking cross country. I like the cross country,
Yeah.
and I don't like the SUV. I used to growing up. I was a skier and raced and did all competitive. So I was always at different ski resorts, and everybody liked SUVs, and I was like, you gotta stand up. Put your skis, climb up open a door, station wagon. It's right there, eye level. Boom, boom, open everything in, drive fast, 4-wheel drive. So at one time, I owned 2 Volvo station wagons.
Uh-huh.
I kept one here, and I kept one on the East Coast.
Wow.
And the one on the East Coast I bought for $500.
Right.
And I left it in the parking lot of their Volvo dealership in New Jersey. And I bought it it had 400,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And I would pick it up
And it
when
still
I would
worked,
land
huh?
and drive all around all the colleges that I would do, all the shows.
Oh, that's great.
And then I would just leave it in their parking lot. And my friend called me one day that owned the dealership and said, your car's on fire. And I go, how? I haven't driven it in weeks. And
Right.
he goes, I don't know. Get it out of here. And I go, can't do that. And he goes, well, I'm having it towed away. You owe me money. And I go, I don't owe you. You lit my car on fire.
You think he did it on purpose?
No, I think someone moved it, and the engine just finally went, I'm done.
There's an interesting bunch of cars on these beaches with surfers. There's a guy, and I haven't seen him for a little bit, but I saw a guy in an old Ferrari 330 GTS, I think it is, or a 330 convertible, silver Ferrari,
Wow.
with his surfboard thrown into the back
I
seat,
hate when people do that.
which is over. It's like $1 million car.
I hate when guys do that.
Why?
I find
I
it
thought he was the
irritating.
coolest guy I'd ever seen. That he'd take this old Ferrari and just jammed his surfboard in it.
I just feel like it's disrespectful to the car. And it
well,
shows
what of
you
your
don't
dogs
care.
are disrespectful to the car?
That's why I have old trucks, and I want more than anything. I want a Defender.
Okay.
And I want to get.
So what year? 97 Defender?
I
Like
want to
the
get one
newer
that's over
or-
25 years and
Okay.
go. I want to get
That's
one out
over
of Australia
Right.
because I get it much cheaper over there. And
Do they drive on the other side of the road there?
Yeah.
And
So
do they
you gotta
have
do the-
right-hand drive
Yeah, so you got
vehicles?
to do the package, but people are like, "Don't move it. You don't have to.
What do you mean?
You don't have to move the driver's side over in
Oh,
America."
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No, and
But you know what happens? I've driven right-hand drive cars, and I agree. I think it's a really fun thing to do when you're around here, but every once in a while I find I'm hanging my passenger over the yellow line.
oh yeah,
I'm dropping them right into the other side of
I do
traffic.
that in Australia. I'm there.
Right. You know what I
Everybody's like,
mean?
I don't know if I want to drive with you, Eddie.
It is off-putting. So you could get a right-hand drive Defender, but it's got to be 25 years old,
Ship it over, probably like $3,000 to ship it.
right?
And then
Why are you in Australia so much?
I don't know.
You just do stand-up
I did
there?
well there,
Uh-huh.
and
Do they have nice cars there?
not really. They're not really because they have a giant middle class.
Right.
There aren't a lot of car people, and they don't. They have this thing called tall poppy syndrome, where if you act like you're special, they try to cut you down.
Right.
So-
that sounds like New England.
So yeah, I grew up in Pittsburgh. Same thing. Funny little tangent. My sister had years ago had a BMW convertible, the tiny little one, and Pittsburgh's a very blue collar city, and I was home for a wedding, and my buddy and I go, come on, I got to borrow my sister's car to go to this wedding. We are in like an area called Bloomfield, really not a rough part of town, but just, working class part of town. Pull up at a red light next to a truck, and a guy just looks out the window at us and goes, faggots.
Right?
And then just drove away.
Oh, my God.
And we laughed for like 10 minutes.
Do they know you can't say that anymore? The number of times that's happened to me in my life.
Yeah.
It easily 30 to 40 times.
Really?
And different times, different vehicles. Throughout my entire
People
life.
don't like you if you're in a
Bicycles,
nice car.
skateboards, cars.
I don't get faggot. I get...
I don't get it much anymore because it's weird. It feels like people, even the guys, the bullies, know they can't use that word, right?
Yeah.
So they don't say it, but constantly, just because I'm a smaller, thin guy.
Yeah, I get the pain.
Right.
Twice in one day, I was called. Can I say anything on here? You don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was called fuckface twice in one day.
Why?
Once on a bicycle. A guy on a bicycle. I was driving down the street, and I knew it was in New York, and I knew I was going the wrong way on a one-way.
Right.
But it was just for a block. I was like, no one's going to see me. I'm gonna. And I was creeping down the road, and this guy felt the need to let me know on his bicycle. He just went, "You're going the wrong way, fuckface." And then I
That's
forget
nice.
what the other thing, but I remembered like that's twice.
No,
that
I know.
people call me that. Maybe I have that look.
Well, it's really interesting. You bring up a really interesting point. Like, I drive a lot of different cars, and I get very, very different reactions depending on the car I'm driving. I remember when I was I bought this old 911T from 1973. It came with the original Tennessee plates, and I drove with those for about a week. And all week long, people would pull right up next to me and go, "Move back to Tennessee! Get the fuck out of L.A. We don't want you here." If there was any sort of perceived I'm driving too slowly or driving too fast. And, I was just talking to my co-host about the Range Rover Sport, which I have a Range Rover Sport that I drive around in. That effect, I am an asshole. Instantly, I'm an asshole. So I was behind someone in traffic yesterday, and I'm just listening to Howard Stern, right? I'm twiddling my thumbs behind some guy. But to him, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm too close. Maybe I'm too high. But somehow I've pissed him off without knowing. And as I move around him into the left turn lane, he looks over, rolls the window down, and he goes, "Asshole!"
Yeah.
And I laughed. And I said, "What?" He goes, "You're an asshole." And I go, "I am? Why? What did I do?" And he goes, "Driving that close to me? You're right on me. I'm tired of it." But now that I'm playing it back in my head, he was slowing down. Like he had prejudged me and wanted that confrontation.
Yeah. I think
and I gave it to him.
I think that exists with nice cars. I told my sister the story about in Pittsburgh, when the guys called us that, and she said, "Oh, you should see how often people don't let me pull out or yield."
Right,
or
exactly.
They just judge the car. And
He
they're
doesn't
like,
deserve it.
Screw you. You're
No.
not getting in.
There's only one group of car people that I really dislike, and that's
PT Cruisers.
Very nice. No, very, very nice, expensive. I mean, a really expensive car with handicap plates. That really pisses me off.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yep, that's your thing.
I'm just
Your
like,
thing.
if you're handicapped and you're rich,
Yeah.
you're cool, right? You don't need to play. You cannot drive like that. But frequently, I'll see that whole combination. I suspect it's the tag more than the plates. I suspect in L.A. there's a lot of fake handicap people driving around.
Oh, I would agree.
Right?
I would agree, and that irritates
The number
me too.
of Bentleys I've seen pull into that spot, the handicap spot, and then the guy darts out and grabs his stuff and darts back in, but he's got the tag.
Do you like the Bentley?
No.
My father-in-law has a Bentley, and
Well, that's good for you.
First week he got it, he said to me, "Here, drive it," and I went, "No." And
Right.
He goes, "Drive it." I go, "I don't want to."
I don't want to drive.
And
that,
he said,
yeah.
"Why not?" I said, I don't want to wreck it. And he said, "You're not going to wreck it." And he goes, "Just drive." And I go, "I won't enjoy driving it."
Oh, you were too afraid to drive it for breaking it. That's a common.
But it was
thing,
also
though.
it wasn't a fun car to me.
No.
It was very bulky.
It's boaty.
Yeah. And I go, I'm not going to enjoy driving this car. Like, I have a friend with a Ferrari, and he's like, I went to visit him for a week in Dallas, and he goes, "Here, I'll drive the Escalade. You take the Ferrari." And I was like, I'm going to crush your Ferrari. Like, I'm going to ruin it.
Yeah,
And he
have a good
goes-
time in it.
He goes, good, do it. He's like, really, like, have fun with it. And I was like, I am. And he goes, it's yours for the week. That
That's
was
great.
fun. Bentley, not fun.
Yeah, it's a common thing. People don't like to borrow somebody else's car and drive them, but I've only had it go wrong once, and that was in, unfortunately, a 73 911 RS Tangerine. Beautiful car.
How much would that?
What's that?
How much would that car cost?
Now they're about $750 to $1 million. Back
Wow.
then, probably in the 200, 250 range. But I wanted my friend to drive it very badly, and we were coming from Santa Monica Airport. We pulled in right at Sunset and PCH into that supermarket right there to get gas, and an insane hoarder, a woman in a car loaded with newspapers and everything else, is just smashed right into the rear quarter of that car. That's Zuckerman's car, by the way, right now. So
how
everybody
do you,
record that damage
when
in
you
that
have,
car.
When you have
But she got out of the car and she goes, "What's your problem? It's just a dent." A dent in a very rare. They only made 1,278 or some odd cars.
So when you want to replace that, rear quarter panel, how does that go about? Do you have to find...
First of all, you have to stifle down the urge to strangle this lady right in a supermarket parking lot and make her pay for her wanton destruction on this rare, beautiful item, and then yell at me for what she did. But my friend was mortified. The reality is, any of these cars, that's a restored car. You can fix pretty much anything. I've seen crumpled race cars, you know, and one summer they're up in Monterey. They get crumpled on the racetrack. It's a $10 million car, and now it's a pile of crumpled tinfoil in a guy's shop. And then he goes, $400,000. It'll be back to new, and it'll still be worth $10 million. So there's really nothing you can do short of maybe burning the car and getting rid of the VIN number and VIN plate that really takes a car out of action.
That's what I'm going to do to the bus. We're going to drive this off a cliff.
We have to go in a minute, but tell me, the bus, you're doing a lot of driving. How many miles are on the bus?
75,000.
75,000?
Yeah. And
when it breaks down, because it's going to.
It broke down yesterday. Because
and how did you fix it?
I live in a canyon, and there's lots of rats.
Right.
And rats like to sleep in warm places.
They do.
They like to sleep in an engine.
That's true.
And they like to chew on wires.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a turbo.
And people
in there.
don't know that. Here in California, and especially L.A., we have lots of rats.
Tons.
Everywhere.
Tons.
Right.
And they chewed through the turbo wires, sending the signal to tell the turbo when to throttle, when to not. And so luckily they replaced that yesterday.
Okay.
But there's
so
also,
who did that?
I go to this guy, Vince Barnes Automotive, because it's a diesel.
Oh, okay.
So he's a diesel mechanic. And I had to rebuild the entire engine because I forget what happened the first time, but they bulletproofed it.
So the people who crowdfunded this, what do they get out of this? That's $65,000 is a lot of money to give to you.
Yeah, they get my show every week.
They get your show.
Yeah.
And if there are ongoing repairs or the engine,
I'm
God
paying that
forbid,
out of my pocket.
You wouldn't crowdfund for that?
I should, because my wife, today we had a talk. She goes, I thought you had a $25,000 sponsorship for this tour. And I go, yeah, that didn't come through. That didn't come through. That was from a weed dispensary. And, those guys, they're kind of flaky.
Right.
So
you're open to sponsorship. Well, maybe we can help you get some sponsorship.
Yeah. Optima was supposed to give me a sponsorship because we need a ton of batteries to
Why
run the
wouldn't you
power.
update your crowdfunding and going, hey, here's where we're at?
Because I still
Here's
haven't
what we
given
need
them all their T-shirts and posters and everything. That was when I did this. I would go, hey, send us $50 and you'll get a T-shirt and a poster and blah blah blah. And so they would send from Germany. They would send us money, or Australia or wherever. And so we'd get the T-shirt ordered, the poster made, and then we'd be like, okay, that cost $10 to make the T-shirt, $5 to make the poster. Oh, now the shipping costs $15. Oh, we just netted $2.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey guys, wait till we sell the Pilot. Once we sell the Pilot, then we'll get you all your stuff. Then the Pilot didn't get picked up.
Oh boy, where was the Pilot sold?
The Pilot wasn't sold. It was done by a production company, Leaps and Bounds, and then you might know Scott Tomlinson.
I don't know him.
He very funny guy. He was our showrunner. He was from Tosh.0.
Okay.
And I thought it was a funny pilot, but our show was so raw and edgy. It should have stayed on the
TV.
internet.
This brings us right back to podcasting. No executives, no studio, no network, no demo, none of that crap, right?
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah, we
just sit and we talk in a microphone.
So that's
we have
what
a
I've
nice
gone back to.
conversation.
Yep.
We're not making any money.
Nope.
But the folks at home get to listen to us and enjoy us unfiltered.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's why I'm doing it, because even on Car Matchmaker, I'm filtered.
So
got to make you likable, Spike.
let me
and I
interview
don't
you
want to
right
be
now.
likable.
Where are you writing right
I want
now?
to be hateful.
Are you producing or writing anything right now?
A lot, yes. I have a
What?
production company, and we do a lot of scripted, unscripted
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
And, boy, yesterday we had a nice project go sideways, and it's made my eyes hurt.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love television, I love entertainment, and I love podcasting. And I'm new to it.
And did you love that Porsche that just went by?
I did. You
What
saw
was
my
that?
eyes travel. That was a big bumper, late 70s, 911, I would say. Probably 78.
Have you had Rogan on your show?
No.
He's
He
a
said he
big
was too
car guy.
busy to do my show, but that's fine. He won't be too busy too soon. But that car, did you like that car?
Yes.
It was white with black interior. It had these beautiful yellow fog lights, and it had a nice side emblem on it. That's a nice car. That's a nice little car.
I like those. And what year did you say that was?
Probably it's somewhere after 1974.
Oh, wow.
Those they call them the big bumper cars, but it's cool, and they're a little more. They're less expensive. They had a couple of issues. One was sometimes the engine needed to be rebuilt after 60,000 miles. Sometimes,
Is
other
that-
times
so-
I think the heater boxes didn't do something right, and they would blow off.
Is that water cooled?
No, that's air cooled.
That's air cooled. What year did they start water cooling?
They started water cooled with the 996s. So the last of the air cooled cars are 98.
Oh, really?
The 98 C2S.
What do you
Yeah.
like better?
I'm all over the place right now. I'm suddenly into 964s, and I'm suddenly into 997s.
I thought
and
of-
I'm really into new stuff. I'm really into new stuff because it's hot out, and I get sweaty back in the old cars.
Yeah. I wanted to be a Porsche guy. I thought about going, and I met with a guy in Australia.
Well, first of all, you have to pronounce the name right. Porsche.
Porsche.
Family name, yes.
And I met with a guy, and he said, "Don't go down this road." And I
Oh, my
said, "Why
God.
not?" He said, "Because you'll just it's a wormhole. You'll never get out
Why?
of." And he just said, "Just be ready to immerse yourself." And I have so many hobbies as it is. He's like,
I understand that, but you're talking the way I think about guitars,
Right.
and motorcycles,
Right.
But I have one. Well, I just bought 2 more guitars, but I try to limit the number of those things so I don't go down that wormhole. But I do keep one of everything. The motorcycle wormhole would be. I mean, there's so many beautiful motorcycles out there that you really could lose your mind.
Yeah.
But a guy with a couple of trucks and one Porsche, that'd be all right. You'd be
I
fine.
lose my mind with surfboards. I
Yes.
buy lots and
Right.
lots of surfboards. And my wife gets upset every time I come home. She's like,
Well,
"You
yes,
bought
you've
another
got
surfboard,
you've got a
didn't you?"
young child.
Yeah.
Are you going to have more kids?
I think we'll have one more.
One more? All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. You got to get serious. You got to sell some trucks. We got to get you a Volvo.
I gotta
His
get it.
name is Eddie Ifft. He's a comedian, producer, writer, director, podcaster, and proud owner of a dilapidated school bus, which you can see touring the United States this summer. Just go to eddieifft.com.
Yeah,
that where we catch up
that's
with
where
all
the
of this?
tickets are, and watch the live stream on my Facebook page.
Thank you for driving out here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This has been a lot
This
of
has been
fun.
awesome.
You can catch up with me, of course, on @SpikeFerriston all over the place. But I have the most fun on Instagram, so if you want to do just one thing, do it there. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
All right, have you heard about the new Podcast One app? There is no other podcast app like this! Exclamation point! Download the all-new Podcast One app now in the App Store or on Google Play now. You can find out everything about your favorite shows and get more content from my show. Find articles, social media, episodes, and even make playlists. It's easy to comment and connect with other fans, too. We have our own little community on there. You can share your favorite content and see behind-the-scenes photos. Plus, get a 360-degree video and watch a bunch of shows in virtual reality. There's over 1,000 videos on there right now! Exclamation point. It's like you're in the studio! No! Exclamation point. The new Podcast One app looks so cool and has so many little things you can do, including fun things like rewards for listening. So what are you waiting for? Download the new Podcast One app in the App Store or Google Play now! Exclamation point.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.